고개를 숙이고 있는 저그들이 지금 여러 명 있어요.
아 근데 아까 인터뷰 보니까 다들 자신 있어 하는 것 같아서 그냥 저거 뽑으려고요.
저거 뽑으려고요?
네. 살짝 지렸어요.
살짝요?
근데 그거는 제 그때 이 기분 좋아가지고 한 말이고 사실 윤승 무섭거든 저도.
만약에 뽑으실 거라면 뭐 저도 그에 맞게 준비해야 될 것 같아요.
아마 저그 선수들 중 한 명이 될 것 같은.
태란이 백동준? 저는 이신영?
설마 이신영을?
설마 이신영? 자, 저 템피에요. 와, 이게 일종의 그 도발이 좀 어떻게 성공한 것 같아요.
다른 선수들한테 누구 뽑을 거냐고 물어보니까 좀 탐내하시는 것 같아서 왠지 남한테 주면 좀 아까울 것 같아서
재밌게 했으면 좋겠고 제가 지금 선택하고 싶은 선수가 있거든요.
네네네.
근데 그 선수가 요즘 좀 비실비실해요.
비실비실해요?
네. 그래갖고 그 선수가 빨리 뽑힐 것 같던데 제가 지금 딱 빨리 뽑을 기회가 있으니까 너무 좋네요.
약간 힌트 드리면 얼마나 비실비실하나요?
다른 쪽 대회에서 올라가 보려고 그렇게 막 열심히 하던데 결국 떨어지더라고요. 그거 보고 비실비실한 선수구나 생각했어요.
저거 누구 이야기하는 것 같으세요, 이병렬 선수?
저는 변현우 선수 예상합니다.
변현우! 마이크 한번 잡아주세요.
제가 비실비실한 거면 강호 형은 뭐 말도 안 되는 거죠.
와!
그러니까 32강 때 제 경기 보셨으면 저그가 왜 저를 뽑으면 안 되는지 알 거예요.
이야, 비실비실하다고 생각하는 선수의 종족을 좀 말씀해 주신다면요.
테란입니다.
테란이에요? 테란이에요?
테란이 여기에?
야,
합의가 안 된 건데.
합의 안 됐어요?
네.
저는 저기 좋은 것 같아요.
완전 좋아요?
네.
강호 형이랑은 KT 때 같은 팀이어서 좀 껄끄럽기도 하고 또 윤수 형한테 지난 시즌 떨어졌잖아요. 그래가지고
그렇죠, 역시.
저는 별로 가고 싶지 않네요.
왜요?
D조의 마지막 선수 들어온다고 해가지고
그냥 가요. 와,
묵직하게 달려가서
설마 조성주. 변현우. 조성주. 야, 이렇게 되면
근데
아니 제가 가장 만나기 싫어한 선수였는데 약간 저한테 복수하는 것 같기도 하고.
제가 아까도 말했듯이 그 스타리그에서 안가님을 써갖고 올라가 보려고 하던데 지원이한테 그냥 뭐 해보지도 못하고 지더라고요.
그거는 상대가 지원이 형이었고 여긴 다르기 때문에.
그러면 되게 황금 선수한테 고마운 거예요?
지금 되게 행복해요.
되게 행복해요? 변현우!
박경훈 또 당했어요.
박경훈 또 당했어요. 조성주 선수가 자신의 파트너를 데리고 오는 시간인데 박경훈 선수 마이크 한번 잡아주시고요.
진짜 이번에 꼭 뽑혀야 되거든요.
예, 이번에 뽑혀야 되는데 어느 쪽 하고 싶으세요?
D조는 가기 싫어요.
D조는 정말 가기 싫어요?
그냥 집에 가고 싶어요.
집에 가고 싶어요 지금요?
D조만 싫다 그랬는데
D조를
그렇게 무릎을 꿇고 짓겠다고 했는데 많아요 또 D조에.
야, 역시 D조는 이게 베스트조거든요.
그래도 마지막에 테란이 남을 줄 알았는데 그래도 저그 남아서 그래도 좀
다행이에요? 그나마 만족이에요. 좋아요? 3명이라? 좋아요?
네, 좀 좋네요.
지난번에 가족주 걸렸을 때 표정이 진짜 안 좋아가지고
모두 죽는 표정이었죠.
일단 되게 만족스럽고 여기서 이제 안 바뀌었으면 좋겠어요.
대박! 와, 자 자리에 좀 착석해 주시고요.
가족 모임을
모임 만들었어요. 강제로. 그러면 이 모든 것도 이병렬 선수에게 감사하다고 전달해 줘야 되겠네요. 아니, 오늘 선수 활짝 웃는 조지명식은 진짜 처음이거든요.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another day here at the GSL Codas. I am finally back in town, and I'm very excited to be casting StarCraft again. I was out for about a week, so special thank you to Rapid for covering. I thought he did a great job, and Artosis, I missed you.
I missed you more.
All right, fair enough. That's
you were in America having fun with your friends. And
yeah, is that a wedding?
Definitely missed you quite a bit. You missed a lot of great action here
at
the Codas. Look at this ridiculous round so far. Got a TBT, Gumio versus TY, Stats versus Classic, and a PvP. Byun and Rogue waiting to see who they'll play against today. And it's a pretty good balance so far in this round of 8.
So today we've got 3 Zergs and a Terran. soO once again is very likely to advance here. I think he's got a good shot. It's not going to be easy for him, but considering how many times he's gotten to the finals of a GSL Code S, you have to assume that it could always happen again, no matter who's in his group.
I mean, he's got 5 second places, right? Did 4 of those in a row. Skipped a bit. He did 1. If he gets 3 more, I mean, this is just a pattern that's forming. That's all.
Eventually, we can melt all those silvers down and turn them into 1 gold medal. I don't. I'm not sure. Now, of course, we've also got Maru versus Dark.
Tace is a big believer in alchemy.
That's right. We've got Maru versus Dark, which is going to be a lot of fun. Maru in an interesting position here, as he's only got 1 race he has to prep against.
Yeah.
Although all 3 of these Zergs do have very different approaches to the matchup ZVT.
You're very, very right about that. I love that group selection thing, by the way, where Lucira's like, oh, you're just you couldn't beat Biel in SSL, and Maru's like, look at him like, yeah. I mean, that's Biel. That's
yeah.
It's like basically at that time was the scariest Zerg in the world. I'm like, I don't know. This is a fun group. A lot of storylines here, and the thing is, I think anyone can make it out because Lucira's ZVT is, ZVZ is quite nice. It's good enough that he could upset, but I don't think he's going to beat Maru. I can't foresee that, Tasteless.
I think everybody's going to have a hard time beating Maru. Maybe Dark, I think, can do it. soO, I'm 50-50 on.
Yeah. Yeah, like I would give a slight edge to Maru right now, just stylistically against soO. But if someone's going to beat Maru as Zerg, it's Dark. Like this guy, you're not going to parade push him down. He's more likely to go for things like roaches that Maru seems to be a little bit weaker against.
What is this song? Is this Castlevania?
No, this is a Star Wars song, I think, a remix.
Oh, maybe it is.
I think so.
I'm not sure. Somebody tweeted us, let us know. Anyways. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
There's some Castlevania
songs.
I'm like, is this Tupac? No. No. I'm like, is Tupac? Is he going to make it to the round of 16?
Birthday song? It's like, well, I mean, no, it's definitely not the happy birthday song, Tasteless.
Look, sorry, guys. I don't know what happened back there. So taking a look at our first player, it is soO. This guy has been one of the most consistent players of all time.
He has been.
In one of the highest forms ever.
Wouldn't it
this
be
guy
so
could
crazy?
have been MVP. He could have been the next MVP.
Oh, yeah.
And he just managed to win a few of those GSL Code S's. But surprisingly enough, he managed to get so close to the top of the mountain before he falls down.
If those were all golds, which, you know, it doesn't take that much to switch that around, but in a different timeline, soO is approaching Flash.
Yeah.
Just to put this into perspective, like 4 Code S victories in a row would have been the craziest thing ever to have happened in StarCraft. In fact, 4 second places in a row is almost the craziest thing that's ever happened in StarCraft. So,
yeah, the only thing that keeps it from being the craziest is he could have won some of those.
Yeah.
There could have been a way to get further ahead. I think in most recent memory, one of the most amazing things to have happen was when Beyond won after not being on a team, which was just like completely debunking all these people that were saying that, oh, you got to be on a team if you want to compete with the best, and apparently not. But it's going to be very exciting to see soO here today. Now, Lucira is a crafty ZVZ player. He does definitely have his own approach to this matchup. I do think that soO is still going to be the favorite here simply because he's very good at these quick engages at the start. soO is very often able to leverage the early setup in a ZVZ and kind of eke out a win from there. And even if he doesn't, he's very good at the countering, the harass, the tech switches.
But what happens if he kills one of Lucira's hatcheries? Does that just give Lucira a walkover?
Wins. Yes, exactly. Then Lucira wins the game if history repeats itself. Anyways, guys, this is game number 1. soO versus Lucira. Tonight, a fight to move on to the round of 8 in the GSL Code S. In the bottom left in the blue, he is
soO.
And his opponent here in the upper right in the red,
losira.
Looking very intense today.
Yeah, definitely very focused. It is a group that he has potential to get out of. I think that Maru pick was insanity by him, but whatever. To each his own. Now, a hatchery first at the front base, but against a very quick speed and pull.
With the trash talk, like you couldn't even beat Biel. It's like, what does it have to do with you and me?
yeah. Well, I mean, Biel and Lucira are very different.
Thanks for coming down, guys. Oh, hello from, where was it? Can we see it again?
Karlsruhe or something.
Oh, damn, we missed it.
Oh my God, double hatch before pool. All right, so
3 hatches.
So Losira going to start out 0-1 here. It's looking like double hatch before pool. There's like going to be like speedlings in his base before his pool is done. Oh, dude,
well,
look
soO
at this.
opening up with a bit of a gamble. I guess you have to keep in mind that 3 of the players in this 4-person group are coming into this matchup, or into the potential amount of games, knowing that they have to be solid no matter what at ZVZ.
Yeah.
So, kind of like when you start out in a best of 5, a lot of times in StarCraft 2, you want to try to use a build that doesn't really give them a very good read on maybe what your most solid play is. I think soO kind of doing this, but almost on a larger meta level of taking a gamble here. But I think you're right, Artosis. I think this is not going to pay off very well, assuming that Losira...
if he makes like 3 spines
oh, wait, I'm
in
sorry.
his base.
I'm sorry. I actually just swapped the players for a minute. Sorry, guys. I just got back. Sorry, it's Losira that went for
I forgot what colors
I forgot.
Blue and red
I'm like,
are confusing.
which player's Ryu? I'm not sure. It's actually going to be soO banking up a lot of links here. So this is going to be problematic for Losira. I thought for some reason I just decided that was actually soO. Anyways, lings are now going to spill out here, and Lucira's going to know he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And there's not really much you can do on a finesse level. Yeah, this is
yeah, he knows. He's like, oh, God, this is so tough. Hopefully he's making some spines. Okay, he does start a spine.
Yep.
Like this front hatch, we can just consider mostly dead. He's going to have a lot of larvae to work with, but obviously he doesn't even have speed on the way. Oh, man,
in fact, a lot of these links not even getting proper surface area behind those minerals. And so from here, soO, is going for the killing blow. He's got the 2 banelings set up here. There's a decent SimCity, but I think this is really just the sheer amount of lings you have here, and the fact that there's no way that these drones can be utilized to try to help defend in combination with this. That's going to be it. GG, short and sweet.
Yeah.
soO takes that, and that will move us on to game number 2.
Complete build order victory.
In one of the most intense rock, paper, scissors matches I have ever seen in my entire life.
There was no way out of that, guys. Like
he's like, I dare you to fancy it. And then Losira stands up and says, I dare you to rock, paper, scissors, and then loses. You don't have to put yourself in a position like that, but that was a gamble I think Losira decided he had to take.
Yeah, it's a fine
into
gamble.
the series. Yeah.
Like if you do any build other than that, Losira is going to have an advantage. So definitely something you have to consider there, right? Like soO did get lucky there. Losira did get unlucky. Both of them gambled to some degree.
Right.
But, you know, this can be the way of things occasionally.
We'll see how phased Losira is. I think since this guy is a veteran of the GSL and competitive RTS in general, I don't think he should be too shaken, but that's definitely, on some level, a moral blow, not just a strategic one.
Well, it's one of those games where you couldn't have even done anything different. He chose a strategy, soO chose a strategy, and the game ended at that moment.
That's right. Map number 2 is going to be on Odyssey. Again, the winner of this best of 3 goes on to the winner's match. But there is still a chance for the loser of this to try to fight his way back out. But I got to say, if Losira goes down here, I think his chances of escaping this group and going on to the round of 8 are pretty low.
Heaven shall burn. In a cloud of fire we stand. Fight. Waves are war. Are you ready to fight?
Do it with me. Yeah!
Should make our own.
We should make a band. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Being fools.
That's right.
Working for the man.
They could have changed metal forever. But instead, they did the most metal thing of all time, is work in esports. In the upper left, in the red, he is
Losira.
Well, we are rock and rollers.
That's right. We're rockers is the term I like to do.
Anyways, we'll watch that production tab a little bit. Reasonably quick spawning pool here and gas from Losira. Yeah, you've been gone for a bit, Tasteless.
Yeah.
I've missed you so much.
I ate a lot of good food.
Yeah.
A lot of good food, man.
Bit jelly about that.
It was, those meals are heavy,
American food is good, though.
Yeah. Well, it's what it is it's really bad for you, and that's why it's so good.
It tastes so good.
It's so good, man. But that was nice. I forgot how heavy it is. to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, just I eat it and I'm like, oh my god, there's a brick in my stomach.
Well, it's like I think a lot of the things, especially meat eaters when they go there, the things you order, right? It's like this big chunk of protein,
right?
And like starches, right? So that's just like heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting a side of broccoli tasteless.
You're not eating some kimchi with that. So, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Got to, I was the wedding I was at was in Wisconsin. Got to eat a lot of cheese and these things called cheese curds, which are just, I think they're illegal in 49 states, but I had them there in Wisconsin. You can get them there, and those are they're so good.
Yeah, I've never had straight cheese curds like American ones. I've had Mongolian cheese curds once while I was out in China.
Oh, cool.
But and those were good. But
I ate a bunch of cheese curds and had an IPA beer, and I could just feel the
beer
sweat,
there is
just
so
the
good.
vapors, just cheese just passing through my pores, and and then I took a nap for like 4 hours. You know,
God, you need it too.
Wow, you need it, man.
Those food comas are real.
They're brutal. So, not too shocking, since soO really leveraged his position in Game 1 by, fortunately for his sake, choosing the right build. He's toned it down a little bit more in this game, at least for now.
losira's going for it, though.
Yeah,
he's making a huge plume of lings right now. His speed's about to finish his Baneling Nest, but soO's is not far behind, neither on speed nor Baneling Nest. So as long as he does not overmake drones, but he does not have many lings right now, Tasteless. In fact, look at this. He pushes back the Overlord and then runs out.
Look at that. Oh, he got... I don't know if we actually saw that, depending on where his eyes were. Okay, now he knows for sure.
Well, now he's in really trouble. That's most of his lings right there.
So the lings are now headed up. losira, not wasting too much time there, is now headed back. And the two banelings are set up in a good position here to try to annihilate the lings here of soO that are going to be used to defend.
Well, will soO be able to actually defend here? Trying to go after those banelings. Good micros so far from losira.
Those are great turns there.
Yeah. Looks like the drones will be evacuated, so not really keen on losing those right now. Third base is actually on the way here for soO, but losira, I think, is going to try to just push straight in the front.
Okay, starting to try to snipe this one baneling up here. Good denial. Even manages to save the ling that was on there to possibly force a detonation. And right now, soO is trying to expand a little bit north of our screenshot up here. There it is, over to this third base. And it seems like losira's pulled back, at least to some extent. He's made a few more banelings, but we don't see a ton more lings coming out from him.
Yeah.
So I think he should be fine as long as soO controls this well.
He didn't super commit to it. He did make a nice set of lings and kind of forced a big response here out of soO, but was able to drone behind it. Oh! The amount of...
That could have been all sorts of bad.
No, the amount of move commands that we see on banelings in general in StarCraft 2, it's huge, right? Because like they're going to do ridiculous damage, so you just kind of put them on moves so they don't just randomly detonate on like one ling. But I think that this is part of the future of Zerg Micro, by the way, is players becoming so good at detonating banelings.
Well, it seems like out of all the interactions you can have in StarCraft 2, that one is the one that is like a fraction of a second. You have to make the decision, and sometimes you can bait out somebody by you just pull the lings back. I mean, the way that lings can actually dive in and then run back out and force a baneling to possibly detonate. It seems like nowadays people are just slightly more conservative to see if they can't optimize the damage.
Yeah, well, you don't want to get out-juked, right?
Right.
But eventually we're going to have some sort of like, you know, millisecond god that is detonating his banelings perfectly and destroying everything his opponent has.
Now we have soO beginning to push out here. And he's going to try to, it looks like, put at least the slightest bit of pressure now that that third base is being acquired there by losira. I don't know if he's going to fully commit. Actually, he might because he's making 7 roaches now with this. But, of course, you can do this to just try to keep their drone count down.
Well, plenty of roaches actually coming out of losira, so you know, both sides have basically the same drone counts, which means they should have very similar unit counts. And with this length of the map, I think we're going to go pretty late on this one, Tasteless.
I agree. I don't see an opening here where either player can actually kill or even cripple the other. We have some Ravagers, though, coming up here for losira. Now, that can be used just for defensive functions, since whenever you're able to lay out a few corrosive vials spaced out properly, it forces them to try to kite back, in which case they're usually taking some extra damage. It makes it not really that viable. Of course, Ravagers can be used in the other way, Whereas you're starting to pressure forward. If you can get a mounted position on their expansion, then you can start utilizing your own corrosive biles there, and then they have to keep running back, and eventually you get into a spot where you have a better concave than they do, and it can take deal damage that way as well. So we'll see if we have any of that. We have 24 lings coming up here for losira, so that usually is an indicator that this is when the rush is going to start. You send your roaches out, make a bunch of lings, because as your roaches get to their base, the rest of the lings meet up there with the army.
Yeah, a good amount of Ravagers in here as well.
Oh, a lot of
my
Banelings.
God. Yeah, losira is really going for it this time.
Making the battering ram, guys. This is not going to be as much of a stylistic, beautiful control play. This is like, all your stuff's dead.
And it could work. You know, the Roach speed is not here yet. Both these guys still sitting on hatchery tech. So will he be able to actually connect with these Banes?
Oh, one Baneling dives in on top. Actually, this is like innovation spreading here. To try to get those Banelings and not connect, but it still might not actually be enough.
Well, look how many Lings are on top of everything. Don't forget there was a big counterattack by soO on the other side of the map, so if he can hold this, he'll be in good shape with his Speedlings doing tons of damage.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't even pull drones here to try to help defend. The position here was actually quite bad. Now, he's going right into the middle expansion here. losira is in this attack. We have to assume that the Lings are going to destroy that third hatchery that we don't have on screen over here in the counterattack that soO is... Oh, no, actually, I'm sorry. I think that actually... losira might have taken care of that counterattack.
Yeah, I think he did eventually end up cleaning that one up. But how much damage did he end up doing here? Looks like 20 drones dead. Of course, we're so close to the rallies here of soO that he is able to push it back.
We did have this pretty cool play here from losira. He was trying to morph Ravagers on the damaged Roaches, but it didn't quite work out because he didn't have the reinforcements coming in. And soO pretty smartly targeted that down. The drone disparity is huge. It's 26 to 43 with a big favor towards losira here.
Not just that, but he has a bigger army as well. So everything going wrong for soO at the moment. How is he actually supposed to come back from here? That's a good question, Artosis. Not too sure.
Now, it appears as though losira wants to continue to lean on soO, hoping that soO's defenses overall are just brittle enough that he can break them instead of trying to revert into some kind of a macro game. And I actually agree with what losira is doing at this point in time, is trying to keep mounting the pressure and hoping this is going to snowball instead of trying to back up and then gather up a bigger army and try to watch for any kind of counterattacks or any kind of strategic brilliant moves here from his opponent. I think this is better here for losira to just try to close this one out and move on to game number 3.
Okay, but on the counterpoint to that, like, if soO can just continually hold on against all this, maybe he can whittle down some units a little bit cost efficiently, work his way back into this game. I'd like to see him focus more heavily on Ravagers at this point, because that's like the one way you can get cost efficient here on this just hatchery tech. But to not get overrun eventually will be difficult.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky for sure. Some Ravagers moving out. I don't see much of the... Oh, never mind. He's sending the rest of his army out. I was going to say, if these Ravagers are alone, they could get sniped.
Yeah, the 4 Ravager hit squad
That's
here.
right.
Walk up, get surrounded by Lings, dies. Like, oh.
So he's going to come out here, now chucking some of these biles over at these Overlords. It doesn't seem like soO is vigilant enough to move that Overlord in time. And considering that soO is pretty hindered right now, even losing an Overlord here or there additionally is problematic, to say the least.
Layer and gold base going to be on the way here for losira, so just continues to lead in every which way. soO is being forced to make a lot of army just because of the posturing of losira on the map with such a big army, but the way that he's teching up behind, not too aggressively, but still making units, I love it, man. It's just like he's got a very good feel on the pulse of this game.
losira is really, I think, taking advantage of this in every way. I thought initially he might try to go in for the kill, but he had sent a few more Lings in there, took out a few more drones, and probably concluded that he would be able to both expand tech and continue to make an army.
Yeah.
And he's just going to get bigger in every direction, where it's going to be very tough for soO to recover. And I think some of this game may, at this point in time, be more reliant on losira making a mistake.
Yeah, like the way that he's decided to play this. He's ahead, and he's decided to get more ahead. And he's doing that in every single way, and it's like really safe. Look at that. soO actually misses the Overlord.
He actually pretty much missed all those. That was pretty funny.
He just barely bruised one of them.
Now,
but it looks like soO wants to attack.
Well, this might be his one out, is to try to make enough Banelings that maybe the critical damage comes in. We saw that soO had pretty good splitting against the Banelings from losira. I don't know if there's enough banelings here for this to actually matter, though.
I don't think he does anything here. losira should be able to hold this with ease.
In fact,
losira has so much.
Yeah, in fact, soO may tap out here. These corrosive vials, by the way, are connecting pretty perfectly on this army. And I think we're yep, there it is. GG, 1-1. losira bounces back and brings us to game number 3.
All right, well done by losira. You know, he got caught by a build order in game number 1. Didn't really have much play with that, but in game number 2, able to take soO out when they're on more even footing.
soO got to be frustrated there from that last game. He won game number 1 essentially with a build order win, which isn't an insult to losira or me trying to take anything away from soO and the fact that he won that. But, you know, in game number 2, and what was actually one where both players were able to exhibit their macro, their timings, and how they could attack into each other, losira actually came out on top. So losira still has a very good chance of winning this. If you have to take all the games we've seen from these two here today, and the fact that, you know, it's only been 2 and losira won the one that was a little bit more StarCrafty as we know it.
Yeah.
I think losira definitely has a chance to take it on the map Frost.
Certainly he does. And this is how losira could potentially get out of this group. Again, Maru should be a very tough match for him, but these 2 Zerg players he can roll with to a certain degree.
Sure.
And, that was a strong win, but do not count out soO yet. This guy is a master of ZVZ.
All right, we are about to hop into this game. Very important for both these guys they make it to the winner's match. There are 3 Zergs in this group. So a lot of ZVZs. You're going to have a big variety in your play style and everything like that, as the other Zergs are going to be watching the one that isn't playing. Anyways, guys, let's go. The last game for now between soO and losira.
Fight! We start war, are you ready to fight?
We might as well do that while this song's still playing. In the bottom right, in the blue, he is
soO.
in the upper right, in the red, he is
losira.
It's quality music in the background. StarCraft music is so fantastic.
It is. GSL music's quite fantastic as well.
That's true. That is true. But as far as like in-game music goes, I think that Hotline Miami and StarCraft have like the best music, basically.
Yeah, for the right atmosphere it brings out. I'm trying to think of what else has.
Well, there's other ones that like grow on you over time, where it's like, I mean, I tear up the Legend of Zelda song and stuff, but like these are things that like condition it within you. But I think on a standalone basis, StarCraft and Hotline Miami have just ludicrously good music for the game.
Well, when I started playing that, I'm like, what is going on? And where was this music my entire life? I feel like StarCraft's grew on me a lot over time.
StarCraft's
like,
music?
I was always fine with it because I think it had the right atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't too, like... it wasn't like it was propelling the game itself. It's just like what you hear.
It's not trying to be too epic or anything. Yeah. It's just like... But it goes really well. And like a lot of it starts out kind of slow. Like, listen to this Terra music. Right? It's kind of building up. It's not going too much, and it gets better. And yeah.
Yeah.
GSL's lucky to have you back, Tasteless.
That's right. You guys need me. In this game, if you're just now joining us, for the series, we had losira take a risk. He actually went for 3 hatches, and soO just went for early aggression and ran him over. So it was kind of a build order loss, kind of the fault of losira. If you do a strat like that, you are putting yourself at risk. Of course, if the strat works out and they don't attack you, then you have an advantage. But in Game 2, losira really showed that in a straight-up ZVZ, where they're both getting reads on each other and trying to balance between getting workers and having enough to defend versus enough to attack, losira came out on top. So I think this is still a series that losira can take.
It is, but that game that losira did end up winning, when you look at that like big baneling attack he did and everything, don't forget soO did a counterattack where if he was able to hold, if that was a little bit less units out of losira and he didn't lose 21 drones, he would have had the advantage because of that nice Ling counter. So it's like, I don't think that soO played particularly particularly poorly there. Just kind of got caught with his Zerglings down.
It's also one of those games where everything is happening so fast. You've got 2 fights on 2 different screens with banelings involved and a lot of lings on both sides, and you miscontrol anywhere on either side, and things can fall apart very quickly.
Truly the case.
So this time soO is actually turtling up. He's got the 3 queens here at the entrance. Looks like there's losira flirting with the idea of possibly coming in and doing more damage, but he's actually kind of faking this. He's going to go for a 3rd hatchery of his own, which soO should spot with those 2 lings headed northbound.
Yeah, he's mostly posturing here. Look at this. It's actually Carapace on the way for soO, which tells me it's probably going to be Ling Ravager, I would guess.
Uh-oh. He's going to try to come in here and actually bust this down. He's going to micro the 1 queen back. And then... Nope, doesn't get it. And so that is ultimately chased out.
Yeah, and actually a cancel there on that 3rd base, realizing that soO's made a lot of Zerglings here. Of course, that +1 armor helps in a lot of ways against banelings, against Zerglings. It really makes your Zerglings more valuable. And, you know, we have seen occasionally in ZVZ since Legacy of the Void came out, using lings to kind of slow down or surround units and then hitting them with corrosive vials. So that kind of feels like what we see soO doing. And look at this. He actually cancels his lair after getting rid of those lings, which means that he is totally going for it.
Yeah, that's right. And interestingly enough, we saw losira cancel the complete wall off. So he seems to think things are dying down, when in fact they may very well not.
They've only just begun.
You're playing right into my plans now. Right. When casting becomes evil. So that was a pretty good mix-up here to try to basically mislead him. And even with this small group of lings here driving out that drone, that still generates the illusion that he doesn't have that much. Now, with the roaches being spotted and now moving out here, headed northbound towards where losira is, I think losira now has a much better idea of what's going on. But, you know, these are the split decisions that you can have in a ZVZ that allow you to be somebody like soO that can actually get to the finals of so many GSL codesses.
Look at this, man. He's going to hit with +1 Carapace, just finishing up before a +1 weapons for his opponent.
Yeah.
So his roaches are just better against lings. His lings are better against everything as well.
Yeah.
Even when this +1 finishes for roaches, he's not 2-shot in lings. So good attack coming up here right now from soO.
This positioning is critical because it's also where the Roach Warren is, so it's not like you can... Okay, there it is. GG. It's not like you can run out of that spot because they're going to get the Roach Warren, and then you don't have your own roaches to combat theirs. So that does it for our first best of 3. The results, I guess, not that surprising considering the caliber player that soO is, the results he's produced in GSL history. But losira, he really held his own.
He did. soO kind of pulled the wool over his eyes, right? The lings got in, saw layer morphing. That makes you kind of back down. But the instant cancel into that very, very strong +1 Carapace timing attack, and just too much for losira to handle in Game 3.
So losira is not out of this group yet. He'll be in our losers match. We're going to be going on to the other side of the group in a little bit here. That's going to be Dark versus Maru. So, again, one of these 2 winners in our next best of 3 is going to be going up against soO. Stay tuned. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on with today's GSL Codex.